Mike Waters with the Syracuse Post-Standard. Jim, what can you tell us about the situation with Frank? When did you find out that he wasn't going to be able to play, and how does that change the look of your team tomorrow?
Well, he's not playing. You know, we know that, and we practiced. Had an indication that would be the case. We have started the year without him at the point, obviously. Very difficult to make that change now. Fortunately, Tyus has played the point quite a bit this year, even when Frank came back at Duke and several other spots along the way, Pittsburgh, Boston College. We did play Tyus at the point, so he's been there. Jalen's had good practices. Everybody, it's very similar to last week when we found out Tyus wouldn't play. I thought the players made a great adjustment. We played really well in both games in the tournament, and we're going to have to make that same adjustment this week with a different guy gone.
USA Today. Jim, I had a question about the zone. When you go recruit players, do you ever see guys playing a zone in high school and think, yeah, this kid will work really well in our system, or are they exclusively playing man or, as Tyus said, lazy zones?
Yeah, I mean, we see them playing both. In high school, kids will play both. But, we recruit good players. We're like everybody else. We're looking at the offensive abilities of players, and then we can adjust them to our defense. We don't need a particular type of player. We've played with small guards, Jerry McNamara, Eric Devendorf, and had real good success. We played with big guards like this year. That's not that important. People think it is, but I don't think it is, and I think I know more than they do. But size is always important on defense, whatever defense you play. So, length helps man-to-man or zone defenses. I think we can get away with a thinner kid in defense because in a man-to-man you're more physical. You have to be more physical. You don't get isolated as much in a zone where you're going one-on-one with guys. So length and strength isn't quite as important. But we recruit to get really good offensive players, and we can figure out how to use them in our defense.
Over the course of your career, have you been in situations when you're recruiting a guy and he says, "Coach, I like you, but I don't want to play a zone," and have you had to talk guys into appreciating it?
No, what I do when I start out, I say the NBA drafts for only one reason: offense. The NBA has never drafted a player for defense at any position, even at center. Like when they drafted Tim Duncan or David Robinson or Elijah Wan or Shaq, they didn't draft one of those guys because of their defense. They didn't draft Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, go down the list. They didn't draft one guy because of defense. They draft because of offense. We had more first-round picks in the old Big East than any school because they draft guys based on their offense. That's what we tell recruits, and that's the truth.
Jim, walking into the building today, 9 years later, what kind of memories did you have?
Not good ones at the end, that's for sure. It's a nice city. We had a good time here. We get to go to a great Italian restaurant in Salt Lake, which I never thought would happen, but Walters is here. But, we came out knowing, we lost our center, and, he was a big part of what we did, but we played really well. It was a game that could have gone either way, and, Butler made a couple threes at the end, and that was the difference in the game.
Coach John Morris, Baylor Radio. Baylor's had some success with zone in the past also. They play a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But is that a factor at all that you run it so well and run it so often and see it so often? Is it not so much of a factor seeing Baylor run that?
You know, their defense is good, and it's definitely a factor whether they play man-to-man or zone. You know, it's a factor. You have to be able to play against both, and you know, we see that in our league. We've seen some zone this year. Obviously, we work against it every day because we play against our zone every day. So you know, you have to be prepared to play against both. But they're very good. When we played them the last time, I think they didn't really play much zone the last time we played them. We played them in Hawaii. I think they played mostly man-to-man there. But you have to be prepared at this stage of the year to play against both.
Jim, did Frank make the trip? And if you advance, will he potentially be available for a second-round game, or are you going forward as if he's not going to play in the postseason?
I don't think I quite. We're going to play this game. That's what we know who we're going to play in this game with. That's all we're focused on.
Did he make the trip?
He won't be here with us tomorrow.
Zach Lang, Citrus TV. Kind of going off of that, do you know who's going to be in the starting lineup tomorrow?
Yes, I do.
All right. Do you know who that might be? Would you be able to tell us?
That was my answer.
Hey, Jim, thank you for your time. You rank among the best coaches, active coaches in close games decided by 5 points or less. Just curious if you had a few thoughts on what's kind of helped you in tight games, managing the clock, fouls, timeouts.
Yeah, players are making good plays. That's how you win those games.
John Warner, Waco Tribune Herald. Coach, Baylor is a really good rebounding team, even though they're not real big. What makes them that way, do you think? And what problems do they present on the boards?
Well, you know, we played against some good rebounding teams this year. It's always a problem. That's something you're not going to be able to really do much about. You know, you have to do obviously we need to do as good a job as we can on the boards, but you know, they're aggressive, they're strong, they're physical, they go after the ball, and that's what good rebounding teams do. And we have to do the very best job we can on the boards in those situations. But you know, Baylor's a very good basketball team. They can score, they can rebound. You know, they've got a lot of guys that can shoot threes. They've got inside presence, and you know, that's why they're in this tournament.
Mike Waters from the Syracuse Post-Standard. Jim, Baylor's lost 4 in a row. I think you lost 4 of your last 5 regular season games. But does end-of-season record have any impact on how teams do in the NCAA tournament?
I don't think so. I think you start out here and you're ready to go. They lost to really good teams. We lost to 3 number 1 seeds in the tournament, so I guess they're pretty good. That has, you know, nothing to do with what's going to happen here tomorrow.
More questions for Coach? All right, thank
Thanks.
you, Coach.